Welcome to part 6 on this series on symbolism, where we will look at the all-seeing eye, the pyramid, and pinecone symbolism. A triangle with an eye inside of it represents the three aspects of consciousness: thought, feeling, and emotion. A representation of the all-seeing eye from ancient Egypt, or Chem, is the left eye of Horus. The left eye is connected to the right brain and with the right mind. The sacred feminine principle is embodied. It is saying to contact the right side of the brain. Even back then, Egyptians knew the functionality of the brain. The right brain controls the left side of the body, which is why it is true symbolism and a true stylization of the eye of Horus, which is the sun, the god of ancient Egypt, representing truth, morality. So now we look at the subversive use of this symbolism. The reverse side of the Great Seal of the United States. Now this represents an incomplete pyramid with the capstone removed. The image represents the physical world and the male blade. The eye in the triangle investigates the world from a higher dimension, a higher form of space-time, and the light reaches into this world. This means that the Creator's essence is not found in the physical world, but permeates it from its surroundings with light. Now, our goal as a spiritually awakening human being is to transcend the physical world and to be sovereign under the Creator. To get past the pyramid so there's nothing between us and that light. There are no barriers or walls, those bricks being erected before you and the light, we need to take them down. Otherwise, we will see a dark nation being built around us with bricks and physical walls and barriers. And once people have been removed from their essence, removed from the light of the world, that control will be complete. This symbol has some very dark interpretations, because these dark occultists want to be their own creator gods. They want to be their own all-knowing and all-powerful gods. They want everyone else to serve them. And this is happening because people are asleep and do not understand the symbols. The symbol of the eye of the Illuminati. Now, there is a positive and a negative side to the all-seeing eye. Some occultists use sacred symbolism in their agenda. They pervert it and use it as a weapon. They do not create. They take and pervert existing things that could have been made to represent something pure. But we must be more mature and understand its dual purpose, and that everything has two sides to it, and it depends on who uses it. So there's an image here of a bishop with an illuminated, all-seeing eye behind him. The all-seeing eye has been traditionally used as a symbol of God in Orthodox religion. The all-seeing eye is used extensively in religious symbolism. Also in the stained glass window in the chapel, where the rays of light are coming out of the eye. They're solar symbols. It's an embodiment of God's light, of God coming down to earth. So let's look at more ways that sacred symbols have been used to pervert consciousness. In the advertising world, in the world of corporate logos. Corporate logos with the all-seeing eye symbolism. AOL. America Online is a vast service dealing with information, and the eye is often used for anything dealing with excessive amounts of information. Citigo Gasoline has as their logo a tetrahedron, a pyramid when viewed from above. The word pyramid means fire in the middle, and the center represents the divine spark of our spiritual center, opening at the pineal glands, or the all-seeing eye. The tetrahedron is the spiritual eye, and it helps us discern truth when the brain's hemispheres act in unison and come into balance, which is the chemical wedding. The IAO is the Information of Awareness Office, which is a branch of DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Project in the United States. And their job is information gathering. And their logo is, surprise, surprise, a pyramid with an all-seeing eye, with the capstone removed. It's looking down over Earth with the pyramid. And the goal is to gather information about everything and everyone. So moving on now to pinecone symbolism. The pinecone represents the activation of the pineal gland. It is also called the all-seeing eye or third eye. The pineal gland lies between the R complex, the telencephalon, which includes the neocortex, towards the rear side of the limbic system in the midbrain, behind the hypothalamus, and in front of the cerebellum. The third eye lies at the center of the head, and this glandular activity is associated with truly an activated person, once we balance the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Unfortunately, the pineal gland has been shut down in most people because of the food that we eat, the media that we consume, and the opinions that we hold. The pineal gland is part of the brain that the dark occultists want to keep oppressed. Consequently, we cannot balance the brain hemispheres to activate the pineal glands. Now, the Pope in this image is holding a pine cone in his left hand as part of the staff at the base of the cross. The pine cone symbolizes Christ's consciousness. The Vatican has created a statue with the imagery of the pine cone in the court of the pine cone. It has two peacocks either side, symbolizing the brain hemispheres on the left and the right side of the pine cone. They are both pointing towards the pine cone, representing the awakening of truth within our consciousness. And if you look at the symbol from a distance, you can see the peacocks coming together are making an image of the all-seeing eye. Now, from the opposite side of the statue, the symbol, you can see an empty sarcophagus that represents resurrection, rebirth, spiritual life, and coming out of the grave of materialism and out of the grave of lower consciousness into the physical world and the physical world, which should be the true goal of religion. This symbolizes activating the spirit, unifying the left and the right hemispheres, and the pine cone or the pineal gland is activated. The pineal gland looks like a pine cone standing upwards, or an eye turned on its side, coming together of the brain hemispheres. It activates our true spiritual awakening. It raises one from being spiritually dead to being resurrected to the spirit, represented by the empty sarcophagus. Now, the Vatican knows the symbolism here. They know the meaning of the pine cone, and they flaunt it in the light of day. Religion has reserved pine cone symbolism for their initiated, for their priest class, and kept it away from the common people. Religion is full of mind control, but these symbols have been kept private and kept secret throughout the ages. Religious leaders are trying to hoard the knowledge so that they can use it to control you, the population, and people who do not know any better. Now, this occult symbolism will only be understood if we build our vocabulary in sacred symbolism and understand their use in the modern world. Symbolism is a language. We must grasp the basic building blocks that form language, i.e. symbols. In the same way that grammar is used to form the syntax of sentences, a group of symbols can be combined to form a sigil in a way that tells a story. A sigil is two or more symbols that are used together to represent a greater meaning, a bigger story. In this Egyptian relief, you can see two intertwined serpents representing DNA. They culminate at the top, at the pine cone of the long rod, which represents Osiris as the creator god in Egyptian cosmology. This represents the transformation, the power of spiritual awakening, and its ability to change our makeup, even down to the genetic level. This is one of the capabilities that lay dormant in humanity. The staff is a spinal column and was considered the middle pillar in the tree of life. Now, the serpents represent our genetic structure that underlie physical form and culminates in the rising of the serpentine energy or kundalini energy. It culminates with the coming up of the spinal column and activating at the pineal gland, which is known as kundalini awakening. Kundalini awakening is a rare experience. It is energy moving up the spinal column to the crown chakra at the top of the pineal gland. The pineal gland relates to awakening within deep spiritual understanding and coming online to spiritual insight, represented by the pine cone. The winged god of Babylon, known as Marduk, is depicted as a flying being with huge wings. He has a representation of a pine cone on his head. Marduk is supposed to have had superhuman capabilities. He's holding a pine cone in his hand and is either being offered or taken. The author Michael Tallinger, in his book Slave Species of the God, suggests that these beings, the Anunnaki, were not trying to share information, knowledge, and awaken humanity to this true spiritual insight and inner vision. Rather, these guys were harvesting energy or attempting to degenerate and awakening, and in doing so, control people. So pinecone symbolism represents the spiritual awakening, the opening of the third eye. This is represented in the symbol of the image of the Buddha and his hairstyle, depicted in many images as the shape of a pine cone around the brain. The pine cone around the crown chakra, representing the opening of the third eye. The Buddha is also known as the Bodhisattva of compassion. The pine cone symbolizes the awakened one. So this is the end of part 4, symbolism. Join us in part 5, where we will look at the goddess and her 3 aspects: the dove, the torch, and the owl